Hi, Betty. I'm gonna make a commentary on this article that came out uh, about the most embarrassingly outdated words and phrases. And I've already made one specific video on the point of thought leadership because I want to actually make a video on it already. I did that. I want to look into it, but so I want to kind of go over the other ones and see what my usage of these are, or at least as of these. Say that. So bandwidth. I work in IT. I work in business and telecom networks, and so bandwidth is something you use all the time in telecom and IT. That's just part of it. And so, having years doing that, I use bandwidth to mean bandwidth for internet. That's very clear. Now, I do also use it to talk about my capacity, okay, my time to be able to work. I'll sometimes use that. Um, I do. And and I don't worry about it if some just general language kind of people that are writing an article about uh, gender usage have a problem with word bandwidth. I guess because they're general language people. They don't work in my domains where I use the word. So I believe in a software company I will use the bandwidth for both types. Because in a software company, we use the word bandwidth, okay? For people's time, we use the word bandwidth in French in a company in a, so it does equal people's time and today not a problem with that. End user, the word end user, then word end user and said here is why do people not use a central customer client? Well, sometimes end user does not mean a customer by your client. It just doesn't. And I did a customer engagement initiative in 2016 in which I brought in 100 and let's see, it was 150 unique people into 250 individual sessions of 15 different sessions about how people would um, visualize vocabulary on different devices and screens. So I wanted to know the end users. Okay, they were none of these people were clients, customers, or even potential ones. They were outside of my company. I brought them in to help us determine how they wanted their requirements. But they were not, they would not, they were not current customers, and they will probably never be. So they are true end users. So sometimes that's what it is. It just is that granular. I always use granular to say to do look at bits of information at a deeper level, and to be able to going down from. Usually, you're talking about granular. When I use the word granular, I'm going from you know deep information. I want to drill down. I want to drill down. And it's not just detailed at a certain level. You've got to drill down and get into certain things where you need to look at a granular level. There's another level farther down, um, where it usually might be more at the raw data or something. Could be a different level. So I use that hack. People use this all over the place. Okay, so people use hack today all the time about Facebook. Okay, they use people hack their account. This is just okay. Now, the word is all used for other things, and I have at times used it for other things. I'll talk about, doing a hack on some other things, some other general. Um, using being a quick and dirty, it's not just quick, it's quick and dirty solution. Um, and I might use it to reverse engineering something too, just doing it a completely different way. Um, so I do recognize it. I use it sometimes that way, but I do know what hack means. Um, and usually hacking for me is truly breaking something or to there are different means to hack. People do use the word hack actually for what it's not. Um, and I do recognize that. But hey, sometimes you should adjust yourself to the users too, because sometimes if the user's doing it, then you kind of look weird if you're not using the way they're using it. So I kind of adjust my vocabulary that way. I did thing. I don't use that. So um, it is what it is. I actually used this in a video yesterday. But it was a statement that yeah, I'm just dealing with it. So, and I don't use this phrase. This is the first time I remember using this phrase in a while. So I'm not influencer. I just um, I talk about influencers, the people that influence other people, not necessarily sellers. Okay, um, there are people that um, just because someone is on social media and happens to be logged and rated in social media as being a high tweeter or poster, which I am. Um, I don't consider myself an influencer because of that, or others typically influencers just because they make a lot of tweets. Okay, posts. I believe influencers are the fact that have true, if you have true, um, I believe the influencers are true influence in impacting other people. And if they say that you are an influencer of them, okay, I don't care about all these other micro influencers and whatever. Um, jab. Hey, it came with COVID. I mean, it's gotten, it's been getting a shot. My dad was a medical technologist. He gave us lots of shots. So, or I should say that he didn't give me the shots. I went to the lab, and then his nurse colleagues gave me the shot. So, so I don't. I depends on who I'm talking with. I use the word jab only if I'm around people that I know they're going to use the jab if they got that. But I don't use the jab. And I actually can't. Actually, in French, because I'm in France, I can't use the jab because you don't have it. They use the word they use to get a shot. So they don't have the same kind of jargon. Off the top of my head, I haven't heard of anybody using any equivalent. So, but it's kind of coming. Yeah, it's kind of getting this thing, getting a jab or being jabbed or something, whatever. So yeah, I don't tend to use it. The new normal. Yeah, this is a COVID thing. And well, yeah, the new normal, 2008 financial crisis. I actually I got had to change jobs during that 2008 financial crisis. So I never actually used it back then. But it was kind of a weird time. But the new normal, yeah, whatever. I mean, it just means there's a transition and an important transition, not just a small one. So, but I don't. I've only used it a few times and not very much. Okay. In the past years. Pivot. I don't. I tend to use the pivot only in certain ways. Um, and I use pivot actually in my field to talking about. I work in translations. Usually translate from one language into another. But the problem is you sometimes don't have the language data of the system to actually translate from one language to another with having high quality. Okay, so you just don't always have this. So what I usually do is I talk about having pivot language that can pivot. You can go from a language into English and then go into that language to another language. So I tend to use it for that kind of approach. Okay, and that kinds of work because it's a transition between two other languages. That's where I tend to use it mainly for other things. Take it offline. Yeah, this gets used a lot. In meetings, a lot, just because there's not enough time to. Um, I don't know. That's fine. It just, I just let people. Just means discuss more. Yeah, just means discuss more on that topic. That's what it means. And we could. Sometimes I can let's discuss this. Sometimes I say let's discuss it offline, or I just say let's discuss it in another meeting at another time. So, thought leader already given the video on that. Remain cautious. I don't actually use this myself. Work from home. I don't actually use the work from home acronym because I write more. I actually use this more in context for French. Actually, my German colleagues, I don't actually use the acronym. And actually, for work from home, we have another word in French, so I don't actually use this, and there's not an equivalent acronym. So in French, so I've not seen it, so I don't worry about it. For French, and because I work for administratively under a French company. Even though my my boss is in France, I don't tend to have to worry about this. So whatever. Zooming. Hey, if okay, the example of Kleenex is probably the best one I can think of, because that one's just basically for everything. I mean, for all tissues. Actually, in French, um, this has actually happened too. There's the word sopalin in French, which is a brand, which was used to basically be for anything for I'm trying to think of paper towels. Okay, the word, the brand name in French has actually become the word for the generic word for anything. It's paper towels. Um, so this has happened, and I've seen that happen in other languages. Whether or not that happens for, there are examples of this kind of thing in other companies where it's Zoom. Hey, it took off. It became super big, and it did. Um, and I think it was a better user quality. Okay? Better user to use functionalities than most of the other ones. It's equivalent. So now I work in a software company too. So, and I have all of these accounts. I don't have like one. I've got accounts for every single system. So we were a little more careful in saying, let's do this on Zoom or do this on Microsoft Teams. This is or do it in Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Connect, or let's do this in go to Webinar, or go to Meet, or do it on whatever Citrix, whatever. I mean, we tend to use the word that is going to be used because because it's because of the specific tool, and we got so many tools to have to choose from. We specifically use it. For other people, I would tend to say the one it is. I won't use a generic one because it's a tool. So so I want to specify the one because you can actually make a mistake saying you're going to put on one tool and they go log into the tool or Skype or something. I mean, Skype could have been used for the same thing too, but it didn't, and it was around for a lot longer. So I would just say just go ahead and use the I tend to use the word that's going to be used for the specific tool because I want to have them meet with the people on that tool and not have them go and log into another one and that's not connect. So that's my idea of all these words, at least in my experience on doing them, and that's just my thoughts.